by Zoom this
Okay.
evening. They're not real, actually, they're not technically public, they are. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so I need approval of the minutes of the January 2022 regular board meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we're good, yeah.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Okay, Lynn, correspondence.
we do have just a little bit. I sent out the correspondence listing to you. PLF money is coming in strong at this point. Of course, it's early in the year, but it's over 10% projections of the Department of Taxation. And then I did not see today that the governor had yet signed.
I looked after I reread
Did
your, no,
So, but he has said he will sign it when it gets to his desk. So technically, we can't have him participate virtually yet and have it count, but that's very close. And they have announced an in-person legislative day, and that's in April, and they just opened up registration for that. So I think I'm going to probably try to coerce some others into going with me to Columbus. Not looking at you, Heather. And then the trustee workshop, we mentioned it last month, but I said I'd bring it up again because the deadline to register is the 4th of March. That's virtual or in person. So if you are interested, please let me know. I'll sign you up either way that you prefer. Otherwise, there's not a lot going on. The flurry of COVID test messages is sort of down since that they are not readily accessible, but you'll hear more about that later on from Heather. And I think there was one other new thing, but just checking my, there is another way to get COVID tests. The Department of Health, the State Department of Health, through the Rockefeller Foundation, there's something called Project Access COVID tests. Basically, you can put your zip code in and find out whether they have distributed chunks free to different geographical locations, but none of our locations were on the list. So I'm not sure if they're sending them to urban places. I have no idea. And that's it for correspondence.
Thank you, Lynn. On to financial reports, Ms. Sarah.
Sounds good. Appropriation summary report is the report we always start with. I'm comparing December 2021 to January 2022. So salaries for the month of January, $57,519. That's down a whopping $77 from December. Employee fringe benefits were up about 1,600. We had 16,624. Purchase and contract services, 7,710. That is down about 5,300. So library materials, information and supplies, also down 15,000. We paid a lot more stuff in December to wrap up the year. So that's why those numbers are so inflated from December. Bringing our month-to-date expenditures, 116,286, which was down 51,000 compared to December. Bank reconciliation report for the month of January. I brought in $8,269. Just a reminder that PLF from January was 78,444. So most of the receipt was just PLF money. Payments, I paid 116,304. I had no adjustments, bringing my adjusted bank balance as of the end of January to $1,128,122. Outstanding payments, I currently have Brown County Chamber of Commerce is still outstanding from January. And I believe the Washington National Insurance check is still outstanding. I usually mail that later than it's actually dated. General cash flow for January. I already mentioned PLF was 78,444. Services provided from other entities was 1,530. $247 for other receipts, bringing in 80,222. I already mentioned the general fund expenditures, so I'll just give you the total, which was 95,381, giving our cash balance for the beginning of February, $713,998. Cash summary by fund report. I already mentioned my expenditures for the month was 116,286. The spreadsheet expenditure reconciliation report. You'll notice my payments for the month was $46,091. The two payrolls for the month of January, 28,486. The other one was 29,608. The OPERS, the board share for the retirement was $8,133. The Medicare portion for the board was $808. The board health portion was $4,969. You'll see those local taxes amount, bringing my total expenditures to $116,286. Payment listing. Any questions about the payments that I made? You'll see a big one for $13,186 to the Rumpke restoration. That was for the Georgetown water damage. I think everything else pretty straightforward. Last report, the fund summary. I currently have $126,768 open in POs for 2022. You'll see, you can see where those all stand. I do have 28,762 open still for 2021 POs. I have a library design PO that has 17,000 still on it, a tri-state elevator with 10,300. And just a little bit left from Ingram. Any questions?
We'll need a motion.
I will move to accept the financial report. I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes.
I need a motion to approve permanent appropriations for 2022.
Move.
I'll second it.
And now would you like me to give you an overview before you vote on it and think it's okay?
Please, Lynn.
Well, you passed the temporary ones in November, I think it was, and now that we actually have, the closeout of 2021, and we know better what's coming in 2022, we made some tweaks, and so I just wanted to point out a couple of significant tweaks. So on the very first page that says revenue at the top, our carryover change, that's kind of on the left side, almost halfway down the page. Originally, we had estimated about 650,000. And so we carried over $59,000 more than we had anticipated. So we're really good coming into the new year. And then if you turn that page, at least if yours printed the same way mine did, I told it all to print back to back, but it did not end up doing that. So you should see general fund, and those are the expenditures. It starts with the 100, 200 categories up in the upper left. So these are all of our regular general operating fund. The wages, anything that's personnel related is in that first category. And that actually dropped down by about $35,000 as we tweaked, knowing exactly the staff we have now and what's coming, what we know is coming in the coming year. That we were able to reduce that category a little bit, even with the new wage structure. The next, that big category of 300, which includes, everything, utilities and all of that. I upped our property insurance premiums because I thought we might see some influenced by our claims that we've had so far in the last couple of months. And of course, we know gas, electric, all that is going up. So I made some adjustments there. On the next page where it starts with the 400s, that's where our materials expenditures plus some of our general supplies are. I also increased some of the expenditures on library materials that are for patrons. And that actually up by about $52,000 between all of the categories in books, electronic, digital, all of that kind of thing. And then last but not least, down at that line that says 910, the operating transfers out. Because on your cash flow, it shows that we have such a large amount of carryover over and above our minimum fund balance. I think I talked about this maybe in the last couple of months, that that's not wise to have that much more than our minimum fund balance without having some specific purpose. So transferring to special funds would help some of that. So I upped that by about $60,000. So if you go back to that other page, the cash flow, I think it was like 438,000 over and above, 350 we're supposed to carry over. So it's not a big chunk because I don't think we're also in a position of over committing to those special expenditures right now. 438. So, it would bring that down to 378, but that's still 378,000 more than we have to have by policy. So those are some of the big changes. I know the question had come up in prior discussions about, the old library standards were 60% on human resources, 20% on materials, 20% on everything else. And I did some research because I know that was the way the standards were written, but that's the way the standards were written in 2002. Since then,
A little outdated.
it's a little outdated. Libraries have changed significantly, but there has not been the only newer edition is 2010. So that's still 12 years old. And the 2010 edition does not, the only place it talks about exact percentages is when it comes to materials. It doesn't say anything about what you should be spending on your staffing, except that it should be adequate to serve your community the way you've chosen to do it. It does keep that 20% target. And so when I saw that, I thought, well, I want to see what are the actual numbers? What are other libraries doing? So I went back and I looked 4 years back, but then I took 2020 out of the mix because 2020 was just.
Doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
So the average, and this is all Ohio public libraries because they have to report these numbers to the state every year. So I went and I looked at materials expenditures because they make us report materials and they make us report total operating. And I did the math. Average across the entire state, 13.7% on materials.
Wow.
And we're averaging 17 or 18. So when I look at what I've proposed, and that's 18.5% of our entire expenditures, I know that doesn't hit the 20, but apparently nobody's hitting the 20% mark. And we have to have that balance locally. So I wanted to, be clear about, yes, we've got now 64% of our expenditures in the human resources line, but I don't think that's out of line for a customer service oriented, customer intensive organization like a library. I would hate to see it, get too close to the 70% mark. I think where we would be in trouble if we did that. But I think 18.5% for materials is pretty on target. So other than that, the transfers, I upped another $10,000 of that $60,000 that I upped our transfers into special funds. 10,000 of that's going to technology, 20,000 to capital projects. Those are the general improvements we have to make to the buildings, the furnaces break or whatever. And then I'm suggesting here 30,000 to the Sardinia fund. We had put money in it some years ago when we had a pledge. And we said we were going to really look at working on that. So I think it's probably time to put our money where our mouth is and where that's concerned. So that's the difference between what you approved in November and what we're asking you to make. And permanent is kind of a relative term because you can change that as we go along as well.
Thank you for the additional explanation.
Now,
Aye.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes.
All right, on to committee reports, finalizing the appointment of standing committees. Want me just to read these off, Lynn?
or we don't have to do the building report of the statistics.
Oh, shoot. Okay, Barb got it. All right, let me start over again.
Sugar, I started.
Okay, so let's go on to the executive director's
All
report,
right.
building report and statistics.
So everybody see the nice little print of the event in your packet? So our 3D printer that Millicron gave us, Heather staff member Britt was able to go through the training, the curriculum and figure out how to work it. And they made a nice little Avengers.
I expected to see an actual physical thing here, not this picture.
We gave it away as a prize.
Oh, dear.
He made a finger maze the other day for Adriana for her story time, but I don't know what she did with it. I don't know if she took it home with her. I don't know if they used it.
Who knows where,
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll look forward to another one.
All right, do you have a request?
Yeah, get some ideas. Any questions or comments about anything else on the building report? I mean, that was a nice visual.
Just put it out there, guys. We were pretty slow in January. COVID, lots and lots of cases in
Oh, yeah.
January.
Yeah.
We were closed curbside here the end of December and beginning of January, we weren't closed. We were just curbside only. And then
Oh,
Georgetown.
Yeah, and it says an illness swept, but no COVID concerns there?
Tanya could probably speak to that directly. There might have been.
Or is it-
COVID, but it was just a variety of other things.
We had COVID sweep through Georgetown, but it's weird because none of the cases were related to work. It was all outside of work, outside forces, other contacts and connections. And then we had some other illnesses go through too. So we got hit pretty hard twice.
Wow.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, I
And you've
know
had
that
some
it's
other
bad.
people out for other reasons as well.
Correct.
And I'm thinking that Sardinia and Fayetteville each had at least exposures, which causes quarantining, which causes
Yeah.
less staff, which
Right.
ripple effect, yes.
Sardinia and Fayetteville also had positive cases, but they were contained. So
Yeah, I think that we do a pretty good job of making sure that we just don't spread it amongst ourselves. But yeah, as I think Heather, you just said, it was from outside. Yeah.
I would say it was probably party hardying at Christmas time.
Well, yeah,
At my
it's
branch.
what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Statistics, you did get the regular format this month. I had mentioned that we are having to change our reporting. The state has done some redefinition and is asking for some new numbers reported in different ways and new numbers. And while we're working on that new format, we have not gotten to the point where we can pull all of the data and have it easily translate into a new form. So you will get it next month. I know we've got a draft ready, but I chose not to muddy the waters by giving you something that might even change next month. So, but do expect some different breakdowns in terms of, how we're going to be listing things. Just know that some of the things that are important to us for planning purposes, for example, the Wi-Fi hotspot number, that's actually going to be wrapped into another category for state purposes. But we keep, and I do this, I think quarterly, I've been giving you some individual breakdowns. So we're keeping track internally so we can keep track of that. And it was interesting to see, the chat kind of blew up in January, and it was primarily because people were asking about when we had covered tests.
Yeah.
So, that was, interesting. I don't have anything else about any of those unless you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Lynn. On to announcements.
Announcements. So I do have a couple of extra paper copies of the announcements that I sent via email. So if you want them, you can say
Sure.
Okay.
I will, my computer's dead. I'm trying to look at it on my phone.
There's a couple
I
here.
just, I think just charged up as much.
I've been somewhere I have a whole extra packet. I have a whole extra paper packet.
If you've got one.
I do, actually. If you'll
Oh, why don't we
give me a
move
moment.
up?
It's just in my office.
Sorry. Thanks.
Log on, eat pie,
And cupcakes.
Eat pie and cupcakes.
it's a bad.
Those little cupcakes there, and I love that key lime pie, but those little cupcakes are like.
Really?
Yeah, if it's one
It's
in a
just a
sugar
little-
bomb, it just makes you
little.
want more.
Oh, dear.
And more, and you know they're really not that good. But you've got to eat.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And the fact that you can just pop one right in your mouth. You're like, oh, that wasn't that much. You have 3 more. That's just a bite. Maybe 2.
Bless you.
You may find multiple
Oh,
copies,
no
but
worries.
there's at
Thank
least
you.
one of each. And this was slid under my door when I came in today, so I didn't open it since it said library board on it. I have no idea.
We're all fired.
Well, I have no idea. I'm just saying, but who knows what it could be.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so meanwhile, while Mark's looking at that, so announcements, ice storm, we were fortunate that nothing really damaged us. We did have a tree fall on the back, but it did not fall near the building.
Good, good.
So, but we'll have to be cleaning that up. Something brand new that dropped in our lap 2 weeks ago.
If that.
If that, and this is on your announcements list, it's number 3, letter D. The Ohio Department of Education is giving out some big money. Yeah, 9 million, or was it 89?
It was a lot.
It was a lot of money. And what they're doing is they are requiring schools to have a partner organization that actually applies for the grant and is the lead on that. Why the Department of Education is not giving it to schools, the only reason I can think of is that they had a lot of more money and already gave it to schools, and they wanted to force partnerships. So the Educational Service Center, who we worked with for umpteen projects, said, hey, there's this money. We can get up to $200,000 a year for 3 years.
It's a lot of money.
That's a
Yeah, that
lot
is-
of
that
money.
is a lot of money.
And so we started brainstorming, and because they are working with an organization who is a consultant, there's actually someone who's doing most of the writing for us, but it's going to involve, we would have to be the lead agency. Somebody else could have stepped up, but nobody else, Brown
I feel like
County.
it was more we were volunteers.
Well, yeah. The Educational Service Center is having one of their programs participate as a partner. OSU Extension is also having some programs. Brown County Soil and Water. Who am I missing? Somebody I'm missing.
I know Maureen Kylie she said
Yeah.
something, but hers is not ready. I think she's looking more towards the next
To the
year.
next year, but both library systems.
Green Acres,
Green
the
Acres.
environmental
Yeah.
something.
But basically, the point behind this is to help make up all that students K through 12 have lost over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. So it's focusing on anything that has academic in terms of reading and math and just, STEM things fit into this, but also has a social emotional component to it. And what libraries do every summer, our goal is to help keep reading levels up. So we're applying for what they call a summer program that is existing and just expanding the program. So all of the partners are feeding this information to the person who's helping to write the application. And so we would all get some piece of this money, but part of what we can do in the library is have programs like bring in the aquarium or the museum center, or even if we can find a way to contract buses, do field trips where we, coordinate and take kids to places, or pay for our own staff mileage if they're going to go and do outreach, and we can write in a grant coordinator for our staffing to pay for time of us doing it. So I think we're getting pretty close to that $200,000 limit for the county agencies. But I'm going to ask you later on to actually officially approve that so that I can write a letter to include in the application that says we have official approval to be the lead organization and apply for this grant. But yeah, if we are awarded, the 3 years is automatic, and we're submitting numbers for not just, it would start April 1st and it would run through September 30th. So yeah, it's a big deal, and I think it really would help cement our position in this community of partners, and bring some real visibility, as well as allow all of our branches to do things that they might not be able to do. And our core friends group get a little bit of a break, in terms of funding all of the extra things that we would do. So that's a really big deal. And it is on the agenda later. We also, the Chromebooks are just about ready to hit, they're all labeled and ready to go. And that was through a different grant, but we're ready to check those out to people. And then I really goofed on number 7. I apparently either got, I saved something wrong or didn't save it, or I got interrupted, but no, the state library didn't announce that we had had inconsistent service. The state library announced that they are doing away with Stat Courier and they are going back to priority dispatch for service.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we hope
Maybe.
that this is the case, that it's good. This is kind of unprecedented, I think, in terms of a state level contract like this, that they've, said contract is done. But the difference with priority dispatch is that they will be only library service. It used to be they were delivering all kinds of things to all kinds of people. So who knew what other than library tubs were in their vans? Now it's only library deliveries. So I would hope that going back to them will mean really improved service from them. But that is targeted for April 18th to start. And so I imagine we're going to hear about transitions later on. So, and that's it for announcements. So.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
All right, I think we could move on to committee reports now. Did you want me to read each of these off, or?
You don't have to, we just have to have these standing committees. And so we've got a couple that don't have any people in them right now. And so, it's really more about, do people who were in them in 2021 want to stay in them and fill in those blanks, or change things up? Or do you want to have time to talk with those people before the next meeting and see what they want to do?
I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm good.
I was gonna say, probably the only person you need to talk to is Harold, because he's not here.
Okay.
I mean, I think the rest of us are good as written.
As is?
Yeah.
Just as is.
Okay.
Okay,
So is that something that you would like me to send him a message and ask him if he'd be willing to continue serving on those two, and then if not, you.
I think I'm going to use my delegatory powers to ask you to send a note to Harold and see if he's still interested. Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Lynn.
Mhm. And I will do that, and I will get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, so, oh, how about this? Heather Patton.
I knew it would make you so excited, Mark, because I had
Yes.
to talk. to
Yes,
everyone.
all right, everybody, let's give our full attention to Miss Heather.
I did not make a super fancy PowerPoint. I did make one because I wanted to make sure there was pictures so you guys could see this.
Yeah, let me get to files, let me get to somewhere where I'm
Get my
actually allowed
glasses.
I wasn't
to share
expecting
the
it.
screen here.
Okay.
Super fancy, Mark. Between trying to get that grant super fancy.
All right.
Isn't it great, Lynn, when you talk about that grant and they're like, well, this application for this Department of
Yes.
Education grant is due February the 22nd.
Yeah.
No
Oh,
pressure,
yeah.
no pressure.
Yeah.
You know, that is so funny because there was just an announcement to retirees that it's been over 5 years since they've even updated retirement.
Wow.
For teachers and the teachers, the state teacher, yeah.
Yeah, STRS.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I think God opened a window for me. There you go.
It's sharing.
I mean, you did.
I think it's sharing. Is it sharing?
88% if you walk it 5 years.
I know, you did
Do that
well.
anymore.
You did well. Everything
We don't have a lazy pointer.
Oh, but may as well.
And I'm so tall, I just kind of hover over the TV.
No, no, we're
It was
good.
difficult.
Thank you for offering though, Heather.
These are the lovely tests that we've been giving out since, when did we get this approval?
Together.
Was it like May meeting?
I knew who
Started
you
in
would work with.
June?
It's the adults. And it's a whole different thing, yeah.
So we
Pass it all
started
around.
giving these at-home COVID tests.
I really need just like a whole.
You realize
Ms. Karen?
You know, what the heck? Yeah. That's what I think.
Karen, I worked very hard on this.
Thank you.
And you want our
You were
attention.
thinking, I worked very hard on this.
I'm so sorry. What did you say? Okay, I got my eyes now. We're set. Okay.
Okay, so we decided in the managers meeting in December, we talked a bit about trying to educate the board a little bit on some of the different procedures and services and things that we do that take up a lot of staff time or just craziness around here. And this one, obviously, from the numbers that we have, when you see that we actually had to add a column in the Pure Chat for COVID test questions because it wasn't in there. And she's like, I can't keep putting them in other questions. We just need a column for COVID tests. So I was going to kind of walk you through what we do here. So.
Well.
Are you talking about on the distribution?
Yes.
On the
The
distribution?
whole steps that we do here.
Okay, because we just got ours in the mail for the first time.
Yeah, and we have been pointing people towards getting them from the mail because we've actually been out of tests since the first week of January. We received them the first week of January and within a couple of days we were out. And they sent us, I think at that point, 2,000 tests, maybe 2,500 tests, because it was backlogged by all my requests for tests, but we sent an email to the Department of Health and we just request the amount of tests. They're sent here to Mount Orb since we're the central location. And then when they get here, I would split them up between the branches. And at first I was very, equitable. This and UPS guy would come and he's like, where do you want me to put these? So that's what the cataloging table looked like. And then it actually started coming in here into the meeting room because we didn't have them. And then it went into my office. and you can't see my cowboy anymore. So from there, the managers would either send someone over to the library, or they would come themselves, or Lynn would take some, or I would take some, and we would make sure that they're distributed to the other branches.
And that's on a percentage basis?
Well, originally I tried to split them up equally.
Okay.
And then it turned into, we were out before anybody even got some tests sometimes, so I would grab a couple boxes. And then it started, we would come on Monday, Fayetteville and Georgetown were closed on Tuesdays. So I would grab those boxes because we would be out again. So this is what we do here at this branch, and I'm sure the other branches probably do this to get started for the day, because each box had 10 boxes in them, so about 60 COVID tests. So we would, and these are little boxes, so we'd have to open each of those little boxes, pull them out. So we would start in our little TV stand and just fill it up and get as many as we can, because we knew as soon as the phones turned over that we would start getting requests. When this process started, there was no limit on how many tests people could request, but we kind of set a limit here, like how many people are in your household, because we had crazy requests, like, can I get 20 tests? And some of the staff was like, wait a minute, can I give out 20 tests? Okay, they asked for 20 tests. And I was like, okay, guys, we got to use our common sense on this. So, if there's a family that has 20 kids, but we do, we have so many larger families that come in. So the state set the limit, I want to say in September when school started. So when school started, that is when the numbers picked up.
Oh, and it went to 4.
And it went to 4,
Yeah,
4,
limit of 4.
limit of 4 per household per day. I will say, when they called it Mount Orb, we said, it's a limit 4 per household. I never said per day, because I knew they'd be back every single day for the rest of the week. So that's how we started the day, unpacking our boxes.
I don't get why you would need more than your household.
Oh, Mark.
Oh, they're sold on the black market?
Probably. There were people that called and said to us, well, my test is expired, the ones that I had. So they had them and hoarded them at their house for whenever they thought they might need them. And who knows how many they'd requested over the time. So a lot of those, the expiration had been extended, so we could look up and say, okay, give me the numbers on that box. And there's lot numbers that we could look up and tell them whether or not there was an extension. And it could be, I think it was extended a few times before it was like completely dead. And then we even had, here's the words that you tell the proctor to allow you to go through the test. So we would walk them through that part of it when they would call and say, this isn't working. So in the morning, we check our voicemails and our emails. There was always at least a few voicemails. And then we prepare our curbside requests. We have the bags, we just filled them up. We would put the time, like especially if someone calls in, if they're coming at 10 or 12 or whatever time, we always ask for that. And we would put a note on the outside of the bag, and then we put them in order of the date of when they're coming. And we actually here had to ask them to call from the parking lot because people were stealing their tests. So if we put them out before then,
would take them.
they would take them.
Yeah.
We have people that were like sitting in the parking lot because they couldn't have more than 4 tests. They had a household of 6 people. And, they would ask, well, what am I supposed to do? I have 6 people. And, is somebody sick in your house? Test that person. So, and then we would prepare for our phone calls because
9 o'clock, bing, the phone system.
as soon as the
switches directly.
phones click over, and that our phones are like that. So as soon as we are open, the phones click over. Lynn came to me a couple times and was like, I think something's wrong with the phones. We keep getting phone calls in the business office.
Yeah. Coming to me.
They were coming to Lynn because they were bouncing so much because all of our lines was busy.
Yeah.
So when Lynn was bringing up their power net and having more lines, I was like, well, that's good for that at least. So we know we won't be bouncing to the business office or
I'm
wherever.
sorry, I can't help with you with that. Let me push you over to the,
So this is kind of what it started to look like, is
Wow.
every available surface that we had, like that's our craft table for the kids right there. It was covered, our display case was covered, they had carts that were full. And I'm like, we gotta be safe about it, just don't put it somewhere where somebody's gonna get hurt. Here is our curbside appointments. So as I said, they can request up to 4. These curbside appointment requests, these are not lockers. These are people calling us and asking for us to bring the tests. We couldn't get them a locker at this point, or it was after hours or whatever. Right now, there's actually a temperature on these boxes, so we can't keep them below a certain temperature. They can't go in the locker for very long. Like if we knew it was going to be like 15 minutes, we could do that, but not overnight. We can't do that.
Wow.
But if you look at this, see what happened in September? Our curbside appointments, and then October, we were out of tests a lot.
Yes.
And in November, we were out of tests a lot. And then December, we were out of tests a lot, but that's the increase that we kept seeing. So in January, that was just the first like few days of January. That's what we gave out. So, and that's not out. These are curbside appointments.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's why sometimes when you look at that and you go, okay, so we have the lockers, why can't we use the lockers for all of these? Because we would have so many requests. There's no lockers for it. So at the end of the day, we could have someone do this, or we would do it. There's an app, it's the Navica portal, that we would have to go in, and we would have to put the number of tests that we gave for the day. This is not I gave out 200 tests today. This is a click for each test that we give. So there's actually 2 clicks for every test, and it's not even in the same spot. So you can't just go click, 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 click. It's click, click.
Oh,
click,
no.
click.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
So you think, okay, this is going to take me no time. And you're like 20 minutes later. So that is our reports that we have to do every day for them. This is in 4 hours. That was my office, and that was 4 hours later. So
That's
And how many tests, 60 tests in that box?
those were a little bit smaller.
Okay.
That was when they sent those, because when he just kept he said, I have 48 boxes for you. And I was thinking they were the big boxes. And I was like, I'm sorry, did you say 48 boxes? And then he brought those in. So that was 4 hours of time. And then this is how many we've given out. So Fayetteville is
Oh, my
given out
gosh.
1,935, Georgetown, 21.
Gosh, Mount Orb's got,
We've given out almost.
Yeah, we're
well,
centrally located.
We are, we're centrally located.
I would expect this one to get the most. Yeah.
I think part of the biggest problem is, for us, these phone calls that we were getting, every doctor's office around is sending them to us. So, the CVS or whatever it is, that's in Georgetown, they have the drive-through testing. They were always booked, so they were sending them to Georgetown or sending them to the health department. So we had people from Mercy Claremont, because the ER is full, they were sending them to us.
Oh, my gosh.
Health Source will not take anybody anymore. We've had that problem, and that is what we're trying to communicate with the state when they tell us how many tests they can give us, is we are Brown County. We are rural. There's not a lot of options and opportunities for our patrons to get tested. They have to be tested for whatever reason, or they are sick and they want to be sure. They don't want to spread it to anybody.
Right.
And they can't get anybody. Nobody will get them in. And it's really, really sad. And I've tried to tell them that. And I said, on your map that you shared with us and told us to send the patrons to these areas, they're not giving tests. They're not testing people. So we were able to find clinic in Georgetown. The Health Source has a walk-in clinic on Saturdays and Sundays from like 9 to 1, where if you don't even have to be a patron of Health Source, anybody can walk in and be tested. So, and then I have some interesting facts for you.
Now, if my screen will respond, you will see them.
These are Heather fun facts.
These are Heather's fun facts. So 59% of our chat questions since September have been COVID questions. Our busiest curbside appointment day was 98 appointments. in 4 hours.
Good Lord.
It sounds like Thanksgiving in the meat department at Kroger.
That's every 2 minutes.
Our farthest COVID-19 test requester was from California.
Like here in Brown County from California or?
She was in Brown County and couldn't get back to California
Oh,
You're
because
stuck
she
there.
had to have a
Oh,
negative
yeah,
test.
California,
right.
you have to have a test before you can go
And she
back.
couldn't get a test, like they looked high and low. They were calling Hamilton County. They were trying to get tested in Claremont County and nobody could get, and I was so happy when I said, I have a test for you.
Oh, good.
And then that was the most, and this is like us actually recording the questions.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know how many people I talked to, just mark me down for like 5. So
Yeah, I mean, the phone, as soon as you hung up. it
How do you get any work
done?
done? You couldn't.
This was the work.
that's the.
I mean, you
work.
couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
So that's the work that we,
Why did they just decide to do it all through the library?
Well,
That doesn't make any
not
sense.
all of it.
It's like you didn't have anything else to do.
But so schools have, I mean, one of the reasons that we're not getting tests now is because the state itself is in short supply.
Oh, yeah.
They can't get them. And they thought that the best way, they really needed to make sure the schools had access to them. So that's where the focus has been since
the schools, that was December. And then
Okay.
they said they were going to use a formula
to allocate.
to allocate. And then when they did that, it changed. They told us, based on our formula, you're going to get 3,400 and whatever tests.
Right,
And then we got like
180.
1,900.
Oh, that
geez.
first
And those,
shipment.
that was the
And
first, yes, it was 1,900 and whatever. And then those was gone in 3-4 days.
And then we did get a part of the new formula, and that was 100.
And 180.
The entire library system.
Yeah.
And you know what's baffling, because I kept track and charted the numbers in Brown County of positive tests.
Yeah.
There was hardly any, when
I wonder if
Omicron.
I wonder how that transports, because both Jess and I had COVID in January. We both got tested at our doctor's office in Cincinnati. So are they reporting it as a Cincinnati case because we went to the doctor there?
There was one day that just blew my mind. This was when Omicron hit. So this was probably at the end of December, and Ohio just exploded.
Right.
And they were given a breakdown. So there was like, not exact numbers, like 31,000. We broke the record in Ohio, 31,000 cases.
Right.
Yeah, 476 were in Brown County. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, it's very-
But you solved the riddle. These were COVID cures that you were sending out.
Oh,
not
definitely.
tests.
COVID cures, definitely.
And that's what kept the numbers down.
And
Yes.
we know that Brown County is what Lynn calls it the Wild West.
Mhm.
And we know probably 90% of the people that took these tests, and if they were positive, probably did not report it.
Right.
Right. They
That's just the way it is. Yeah, that's why
Do the
there's,
first time and you'll figure out how to do it and why bother?
or if you don't get tested, you can't be positive with COVID.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you guys knew that.
No, I didn't know
You
that.
don't test, you can't.
You can't get
I
positive.
don't know anybody. who believes that.
Well, thank you, Heather. I really appreciate it. That was
Amber sent
fascinating
a little
stuff.
video. Did she put it in the chat?
She did put it in the chat.
Okay, you guys can see this beautiful video that she made. I wish we had one from Mount
Is this
Orb.
for COVID testing?
You just have to. watch
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, maybe I have to.
You have to download it
download
first.
it first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your file is downloading. It might take a while. Okay, it's that.
Do you want to pass this
But
down?
meanwhile,
So,
we've
or I can
only
take care of it.
had
We did.
The 180 tests,
Or should
and
we wait
then,
till executives?
we haven't received any notice that we're going to get any more.
And when I asked
As far as I'm concerned.
about the 180 tests and if
Did you lose someone?
I told Lynn, I got a novel back from him because he just wrote all these, and it was just a runaround. And he's told me that if we want schools to get involved with this, which we would love for Brown County schools to be involved with this, then we should have them contact them to get tests. And I'm like, that's not my job.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Lord.
So I was like, huh.
Saving.
I'm just shocked by the numbers.
Yeah.
Honest with you, I'm shocked. I mean, this, what a great presentation. What an eye opener. I'm just,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, we had some friends that had COVID and she was trying to find tests because they were trying to test at home and they were testing every day because, it takes a while for it to show up and she knew her husband had it. So, you'd go through just for yourself, you could go through 4 tests and still not know that you're positive. And then there was a unique thing that happened today because we both know we had COVID. He had it the first week, I had it the second week. We didn't get all that sick. He had, within the 2 weeks after he started symptoms, he had cataract surgery. And they said he only had to quarantine for 5 days and then he was considered safe. And so he's having his kidney removed on Tuesday. So they sent him down to the hospital today for all his pre-op stuff. And they were supposed to give him a COVID test. And we told him that on the 19th of January is when his symptoms started. And that he tested positive on the 21st. She said, well, we can't do a test on you because you'll probably test positive. And it doesn't matter because it's just in your bloodstream and you're not positive anymore. And I'm like, I had never even heard of that. So
I know 2 different people.
so how good are these tests anyway? If they're.
They're not perfect.
Started to.
But the one thing I do know is like back when all of this started, in 2020 and Jeremy was teaching and everything was crazy. And his school district didn't close. They closed right at the very beginning. And then when they came back to school in the fall, everybody's in. And in the first week, he was quarantined because he was contact traced to students who would test positive. And he was flipped out. This was like his first experience of like, do I have this?
Mhm.
And we ran down because we couldn't get in anywhere. So we ran down to Ripley to the one that's in the school.
Yeah, Primary Plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said, well, we can give you this test, but you have to give blood. Jeremy doesn't do that. He will not do. He's afraid. No. So I did it because I'm like, well, if you have it, I might. And I didn't have anything. And I did the blood test one. So it's weird. It's just really weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. But you get those little things, the lady said they stick around in your blood for about 6 months. After 6 months.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
After 6 months.
I was scared to death
there's no
that
trace
when they
of it.
wouldn't give it to him, that they wouldn't do the surgery Tuesday. So
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't happy with that, I'm sure.
no, it's all on. They're fine
Is it
with
working?
It apparently it's displayed on the screen and they saw it because Amber put in the chat. It didn't run that slow before. And I said, well, it says it's showing, but it was not displaying. And then the
Can
screen
you
went
pull up your
black.
Zoom?
It went black.
Oh.
And so nothing else was showing on the TV either. So I turned it off and turned it back on. So,
Gotcha.
so we, maybe later in the meeting, we'll show the.
Okay.
video,
Okay.
because right now it's not.
Okay, Lynn. All right, so let's move on to number 7, motion to approve disposal of property, which is your yellow sheet.
Yeah.
So I will need a motion.
I move.
I'll second.
I second.
2 seconds.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
You have the first second.
I do.
Wait a minute.
It doesn't really matter.
I want the third first.
Okay, Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Okay, number 8, motion to approve a resolution recognizing and commending Ohio First Lady Fran DeWine
Okay.
for distinguished contributions to promote early childhood literacy.
Okay, that's-
Did we have a motion?
We need a motion.
Need a motion.
Move.
I'll second.
And I
Okay.
will tell you, when we first opened the middle school at Fayetteville, and I was the principal, we had a hearing handicap room. And we had a teacher that specifically went back to school for them to do that. And she worked there for maybe 3 years, 4 years, but she had known the DeWines years before. And she got cancer and passed away. And he came to her funeral. Wow. So all this against him and her, they've got a big family and I think they're wonderful people. And he gave an excellent eulogy for her. He didn't have to come that far to do that. So,
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
yes.
Tracy? Yes. Barb?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Sue? Yes.
Okay, number 9, we need a Georgetown facility project update.
Well, Tanya, are you prepared to give us a little bit of what's going on right now at your building?
Sure. Adamson's and Tri-State Elevator met yesterday and coordinated the finalization of their part of the elevator. We are still waiting on the parts for the electrician to get in there and put in the trips that have to be installed for code. Hopefully that'll be soon, but I don't have a time frame on when that will be finished. And then Rumpke Restoration should get in there, I think later on next week and start the drywall repair and paint and get everything ready for the next phase.
So Tanya, so the elevator repairs have not started yet? I mean, there's been no elevator repairs at all?
Oh, yes, they are nearly completed.
Okay, okay,
Everything has been rebuilt at this point. Everything inside the car, the cables, all that's been replaced. All of the electronics in the elevator mechanical room are all brand new. All of that has been replaced. All new wiring run. Everything is up to code. New boxes, control panels on the walls outside of the elevators. All of that is new, and everything is up to code now.
so did a lot have to be done to bring it up to code?
Yes.
Okay,
It's a
And-
30-ish year.
okay, then yeah, code's come into play quite a bit.
Yes, and
And
that's
that's
where
picked up by
Adamson came
insurance.
in. They had to coordinate the installation of new sprinkler systems inside and outside of the car.
Okay, thank you, Tanya.
And I think that the little bit that's left that the electrician has to do is that actually will, Tanya mentioned trips, and so it will, to shut down kinds of things, and then it will be getting the inspector here and getting that clearance and
Okay,
that fun stuff. Yeah, so it's good to hear that Rumpke is going to be going in. I mean, there were a lot of little other cleanup things. We had some water left before the elevator was finished because they had to get all of that remaining liquid out of the very bottom of the elevator, and Rumpke Restoration did a great job of getting that ready. And so they obviously need to do the walls before we can come in and do flooring and everything else. And that's other stuff that's on the agenda for this evening. But I have to say, I haven't heard much about the work that the people that are doing now, Rumpke Restoration and Adamson and all, because Tanya has been doing all of the on-site coordinating. She's been taking care of all of that, making sure everything is being done. If she needs somebody else to weigh in, she'll let me know. But she's really doing a great job. And I know she and her staff are doing their best to work around the fact that they've got very little space to operate in right now, and they're doing the best they can. And they want this done sooner than anybody. So
well, thank you, Tanya. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, number 10, motion to approve contract with Library Design for services and furnishings related to water damage at the Mary P. Shelton Building in Georgetown. And we've got a proposal and a
Yes.
project board.
yes, you do. So Tanya, we laid out the carpet tiles on the floor. Heather laid them out very nicely so that The trustees could kind of get a
Oh, I
concept
see
of
on the
how that's
board
gonna
up
work,
there.
and then I handed out a copy of the actual floor plan, the
And
layout,
it's
carpet
just
layout, so you can
insurance cover
see how that's actually going
That's
to
what
work
I
in the children's area, and in the young adult area, teen area. The black part in there is actually walk-off carpet, so that's the heavier duty. Those are main thoroughfares coming down from the upstairs and going in beside the restrooms there. And so that carpet is not like what our feet are on right now. It's a sturdier that will wear well and stand up to cleaning better. So that's why that's black, because it will all match. It's not going to be black. It's going to be nicely color coordinated, but it's not going to be that pattern because it's a different type of carpet. Did I not hand you a copy? Well, maybe that's what I took here.
It's kind of a pattern of how to, and this is pretty cool. Look at this one.
Library Design gave a very lengthy proposal, right? So there's a lot of paper there to look at. But essentially
That's gonna be in our library.
broke it down into several
Oh.
sections. So if you are looking at the numbers section,
I'm impressed.
at first it gives you
I know.
the
You
flooring
circled the
part.
amount.
Of it,
like
with
under
the two alternates. One of the alternates that we asked them to price out was having ceramic tile go up partway on the walls in the restrooms downstairs, which is a really good thing for cleanliness and
Where did this
hygiene,
come from?
because
Me.
drywall
Oh, you?
is
How come
really
you
hard
got
to
that?
Well, part-
clean.
We all got some.
And
You can
then
keep that if you want.
the
that's
other
all right. I just-
alternate
that's
was
impressed.
to not
Yeah.
only put rubber tile and replace the carpet that's all going up the stairs, and so it would
We're gonna
be
have a
from
real
the
children's library.
upper level all the way down to the lobby, and
Like
then
that.
all the way down and take out the carpet and have no carpet on the stairs at all. So that was the
Wow.
alternate, it's 11,000, just under $12,000. And then there are other separate costs. Again, we asked them to break this out for the shelving. There's a cost for the technical furniture. There's a cost for miscellaneous furniture. The miscellaneous is more like the staff furniture and a couple of other pieces. The technical furniture is more the patron tables and chairs. And then page 4 is the description of the decorative tree, which I also gave you a picture of today. So Tanya, sorry,
$40,000.
$40,000. Well, this tree is special. So Tanya, do you want to tell them about your special tree proposal?
This would be the focal point of the downstairs. It would have a small area where children can kind of get into the trunk of the tree. It's like a little reading area. There would be shelves, faux mushroom shelves that are going to be on the tree itself, so you could display. Can have different animals that make noises up in the tree, twinkly lights, and like I said, it would be the focal point of the downstairs.
And you can see if you look at the carpet layout, the tree would be basically where the green patch is. So it would be like there's lawn or grass around the tree. Love it.
So
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's
new
cool.
library.
That's one of those, maybe capital campaign, because people might want to donate and have some plaque somewhere, so
They can have a mushroom.
well, and of course, the insurance guy in me is looking at the tree and I'm going, oh, let's gather a bunch of kids under a tree. So climbing hazard. If something breaks and falls, yeah.
Mark, we don't want to hear that.
No,
Little boys can do
Like
just
sit-
about anything, yeah.
someone has to be the party
That's
pooper,
exactly
right?
When I learned that my kids were taking a bike and a grapevine and going over the creek, after, much later, I almost had a heart attack. So boys do wild things, you
And
know,
Karen, yes, I agree with you,
and you have twin boys ending up with.
I'm just sharing my opinion. We're a board,
I know,
right, with
I
many
know.
members.
I know.
And I've seen a lot in my 30 years in the insurance industry, and it's gorgeous. I love it. It's a
Good.
great concept.
Good, that's all we want to know.
Okay.
Mark, she's shutting you down.
Well, hey, look, I'll speak my piece and you guys do whatever
I
you want.
understand, I understand.
You would have to
completely.
someone would have to watch that 24/7.
Somebody has to, yeah.
It's what's called an attractive nuisance in the insurance industry, where it's so nice, like an outdoor pool is an attractive nuisance where, it's nice to have, but it's gonna draw.
Yeah, you can't have this
Kids,
tree
skinny
by
dip and all that.
by
This would
itself.
be, you'd have to watch it. I'd
Yes,
be
right. It's
concerned.
kind of like lifeguard for the tree,
You would
unfortunately.
have to have a lifeguard for the tree.
Mhm.
And where are the kids gonna naturally be drawn to? It's gonna be that.
And you can't encourage.
And what's the
parents to drop
natural
their kids off,
instinct?
Cause that's
So
that's,
I love it though,
yeah.
Sharon.
I think the tree is fantastic.
You have done your fiduciary duty by expressing your concerns on the insurance side. And
Well, you get volunteers to watch the tree.
Volunteer.
A tree hugger,
I like that.
a tree sitter. I love trees. I'll watch the tree.
Yeah, but you can't do it all. the
I know,
time.
I
You
know.
gotta get
I-
more people in on this.
I would
Oh.
report that to the insurance company. I would report that and they will let you know.
Okay.
Mhm.
You're
Actually,
kidding.
maybe that's the way to do it,
You
Lynn.
have to.
Because I'm
tell
just
them.
Mark Miller, right? I mean,
I think
Mark, you have to
but if
tell
the
them.
insurance company says something,
You don't have to.
just come back and say, how much extra coverage do you want on it?
No, you can say, you could come in and look at our room and tell me what you think. But you don't say, we've got a tree and it's gonna be a real hazard.
no, Karen, we would never say that. It's just because what happens
I
is
know,
if you
unfortunately.
don't report it and then they find out and then there's an incident,
Yes,
that's a
then
problem. That's a big problem.
That's why we need those tree people.
And
Yes.
I appreciate you speaking that
Yeah.
so that we can, as we're looking at this, because obviously, when you look at the proposal, that's a $40,000.
This is only a proposal, you guys. It's not set in stone.
Well, this is the proposal that it's the cost of all of the things that, and I will say, Tanya and Heather and I have, looked at all of these things. I did express my opinion about the green on the carpet because it's not my favorite shade, but but it's not my call. I don't have to live with it,
Yeah.
right? And I trust both Tanya's taste and library design's designer,
Yeah.
they know more about colors and patterns than I do. But this includes everything that is desired to finish, and refinish, renovate that space. Now, obviously, we have to look at the dollars.
And I think that we should look into, somebody should do a survey of children's libraries because there's lots of very creative children's libraries and find out what their thoughts are.
I think
I have
Mark
a-
needs to go visit and use his insurance. He'd have a heart attack.
But he would.
Nashville Public Library. Have you been there?
No,
We went for a baseball tournament. And I was like, ooh, I want to go visit Nashville Public Library. And my husband and my kids are like, really?
Boring, Mom, boring.
But they have a children's floor, wing, whatever, and they had a tree house. A tree house, and they had a draw, little wooden bridge that goes across and all that. And I was like,
Nothing could
I want a
ever go
tree house.
wrong. Yeah.
see,
Have
that's
you ever been to
fantastic.
COSI? Well, I took my grandkids there when they were younger and they had all kinds of stuff off the ground and in
Yeah,
the air.
right.
And I'm like,
I've just.
I do have a
seen too
question.
much.
I'm
I've
serious
just
question.
seen way too much.
how tall is this tree compared? from the
Give us-
floor to the branches?
Tanya, I don't know if you, yeah.
I mean, it kind of, is it go up to the ceiling?
Yes. It's like
Okay,
it
so
disappears and it's- yeah.
Most of that is above their little kid's height.
The branch.
Yes.
branch.
The
Yes.
little ones.
Did you see the
but
There are
still.
there are no low branches. There's nothing for them to climb on.
But I
Okay,
can't
that's
tell on
good.
that.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Well, this
And the
is nothing
picture that's
compared to
on the
Chicago.
proposal is
Oh, yeah,
not
and if you go
found.
down to the
It's
museum,
just
that,
some
you know,
one somebody has, but yes.
what is
out-
that called? What's the museum
if-
called
when
down,
you're
the
in
train museum?
Georgetown, in
I
that
don't know,
area,
but
They
in
have a
Chicago,
play
it's clear
area.
up on that glass ledge
Oh, gosh,
that you
that's
walk out
terrible.
on.
Oh, gosh, I wouldn't go on that.
that section of the children's area has a relatively low ceiling.
Mm.
So it's not like the tree is,
It's lower than this. This
Yeah.
is higher than,
I would say that
Yeah,
that ceiling
yeah.
is probably low. And it's
Yeah.
a bit of a drop ceiling.
Right,
Because it's
right.
the older part of the building, so it's, yeah. But this is what I'm going to say about that. I've crunched the numbers the best I can without saying to Sarah, I want a specific list of every dollar we've gotten in, where it came from, when it came in, what we've paid, what's encumbered. You know, I have some general numbers of what we did in 2021 and what I've seen, you know, to date reports. But rounding on the conservative side, it looks as though we've got about $120,000, actually I'll go down a little bit, $115,000 in that renovation account. There are a couple of things that we have encumbered. We know that the payments are going to be coming out. I anticipate conservatively another 25,000 from insurance. There may be more because they are just now finishing up processing the contents that we lost. They did the carpet and all of that, but now they look at the contents. And so, you know, my numbers show that if we approve tonight the flooring, because what has to be done first? You've got to get the floor done. You gotta get the restrooms. You have to have that piece before you could ever put furniture or anything else in it. And flooring and all, it's minimum of 12 weeks from the time of order to the time of delivery.
Yeah, everything is
So we
forever.
can't- There's some things we can't delay on. And right now, we can afford to do the flooring, so that's on page 1 of the numbers proposal. We can afford to do the 1.4, which is the ceramic tile along with that. And we can afford to also do the shelving and the millwork, which is number two. My pages are in the wrong order here. Yes. So that brings us right up to the amount that we actually have on hand right now.
From insurance,
From insurance.
not our money.
Not our, yeah, that's all the money that we've had in it. So that includes a little bit of what the cooks gave us as an advance, and all of that.
And then we can-
Unless you see something different.
What
than I
about
do.
the trust?
Well, okay, so so what's coming, so I
Yeah,
anticipate
we don't know yet.
minimum of 25,000 insurance, but, I don't know exactly because I haven't seen what they've authorized all. The trust, it was confirmed, that there were no other claims on the trust. And so my understanding is that that's in the process now of actually being officially released. So that's another 30,000. I hate to use all of it at once, but 25,000 of that. So that's more to give us a little contingency. But right now, doing those couple of things, we've got the money to do it. And then we've got a little bit more for other things later. We have a little bit of time to decide on the furniture. And to get to affirm where the money's gonna come from, because I don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, Matt, go ahead and place the order for us, and
Yeah.
we don't know where we're gonna pay, we have extra money sitting in our general fund. Remember, we had that $438,000 over and above our minimum fund balance.
Right.
But I don't want to just commit a
Mhm.
large part of that. I think you all need to think about
Yeah,
how much more are we willing to spend? Bottom line, $227, almost $228,000 for everything, including all the furniture and the tree, if, we had to go with a $40,000 tree, is not really very bad. Now, I know it's a little bit of a sticker shock, but I see.
No, it's
library
not
furniture
bad.
Pricing stuff all the time, and that's everything. That's shipping, that's installation, that's
Labor.
making sure everything is done and put together. And it is also reusing whatever we could reuse.
Yeah.
Um, So,
So I would petition that we go ahead and approve the 3 items that Lynn mentioned, since we have the money,
Mhm.
then we could just table the dangerous tree for later.
I think you're gonna get nasty.
Tanya, I'm teasing. I am teasing. I am teasing.
I just can see the delight in kids' faces when they walk in there and see a tree in the middle.
It's
I mean,
absolutely gorgeous.
well, not
Yes.
just gorgeous, I mean, it's really gonna pull them in. I mean,
Mhm.
if this was made for this, it can't, how dangerous can it be? You know what I'm saying? It isn't gonna,
I'm
I don't know.
not gonna answer that.
It's
not?
been closed for so
So
long.
it's
that
beautiful.
whatever
It's a
they-
great idea. I absolutely love it,
yeah.
So.
but
But I mean,
I don't
aren't these
think they'll
things made for
set out to
children that,
destroy.
like at a playground equipment, you know,
No,
they're
I mean,
gonna
you
be a
don't
little rough
leave
with it and they're not gonna be
those
able
Remember
to.
those little
kids,
playground
they're mischief
merry-go-rounds that, like,
makers.
Oh,
yeah.
Dragged around.
we're in a
Hey, I-
whole different world right now.
I
said
grew
you
up
have
where
to
you
have
went
a
Whole
down
different world.
a
Somebody
12-foot
that kind of
slide onto
keeps an eye
asphalt
And a camera.
at the elementary
I'm sure you can
school.
get a
That's where
camera
we
so that
played.
you
If
can
you
watch
fell
it.
off that slide, you hit concrete, hard surfaces.
I would bet you if you, because I do love the idea. I think it's gorgeous and the kids would love it. It would be huge for the library. I bet you if you reported to the insurance company and you told them that we have people that
Yeah.
are going to watch that from the time we open until the time we close, they would probably be okay with that.
And.
They just,
you know,
you just can't afford to leave it
Right.
No,
unsupervised.
Right,
You have to
nobody
have a-
adult in
But
the.
There would have to be an adult.
Library person in that room all
What's
time.
that?
No unattended.
No unattended trees.
No one
Now,
attended children.
Mark, we can put a camera on it also.
That'll
But-
see
and
the
that's a
kid
whole
falling.
other-
Is that-
And
I'm
video-
kidding.
and videotape in slow-mo.
Well, if we have a camera on it,
Yes, I understand.
It's like those trail cams you ever see.
Oh, creepy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn, I have one last question.
Yes.
Okay. I know like from being in a school, like they always say, like you can't put anything within like 18 inches of the ceiling, Is this tree gonna be like upset the fire people?
Fire code.
If it's going up into the ceiling?
Wow,
Well,
that is.
it's not
fantastic.
going to extend into the ceiling. So
not gonna
basically
move.
it's a trunk and there are going to be some, and Tanya, you need to, correct me if I'm explaining this wrong. And some branch things, but that foliage is really what makes it look like it's going into the ceiling.
Okay.
There will be, we have asked them to actually, and we're gonna have to get an electrician to bring electric down, so we can put up our own little twinkle lights or that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
Okay.
it's not like it's going to go up to the ceiling and.
So they're saying drop ceiling height, 119 inches,
And I'm
and the
assuming
tree's
they
10
mean that-
foot.
Yeah, that's.
So
our
it's
drops.
not gonna, so that answers that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Well, this-
I
yeah.
would move to accept Mark's proposal to spend the money on those 3 items that we already have the money for.
One including.
You have to pay
alternate 1.4 and
I'll pay
alternate
50%
And
on this
And
tree
two.
when you order it.
I have 1.4, 1.5, and 2. Okay.
Yep. Yep. Good discussion.
So I have Sue as a motion. I'll second it.
Okay,
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes,
And then this also gives me the ability to then go back to our funders to say, here's the proposal, here are the numbers, here's what we have on hand, if they are thinking about
Mhm.
additional funding, then they know what a good chunk it
Yeah.
We can tell them where to put it, right?
Yes.
Great.
Can I
Okay,
say one thing real quick?
yes.
So there's just one little thing that you need to think about too. The carpeting, the tiles and everything, the design of that is designed around the tree. So if for some reason we decide not to do the tree, we'll need to do a different pattern for the carpet. Because it won't look right without it.
Right.
They kind of
Yeah,
tie
It's
it
like a
together.
grass under the
So,
tree.
It's like here,
yes,
Mark.
I just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Yeah, so Tanya would pick out something that would.
This is how it would, all the green would be under the tree.
The
And then as you move
plan,
away,
okay,
the green
gotcha.
disappears and it goes into like rock.
Right.
this thing, Mark.
Okay,
This is what the carpet looks
Yeah.
like. So when you walk into the children's room, there's like the pattern of the
Good
green
point,
to the
Tanya.
brighter green, to the darker gray to like.
and we don't like that.
On the tree.
What do you mean we don't like that?
Nice patch of lawn there.
Go away, Mark. Go away. All you do is give us nasty. Oh, man. We want only
Okay.
good stuff.
All righty, I get it.
Fun.
I get it now.
This is the fun part.
Yes.
So,
All right, so are we on to 11?
Yes.
Motion to approve the operational policy revision, which is the Chromebooks for patron circulation.
right.
I'll second.
Second.
Six.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen, Tracy. Yes. Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
and Sue.
Yes.
Okay, next is our pink sheet. Number 12, motion to approve proposal from Forward Edge to replace 10 desktop and 4 circulation computers.
I move.
I'll second.
Yes.
Kathleen, Tracy. Yes. Barb,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
And just as a quick FYI, that's about half of the patron ones that need to be replaced. 10, we really need 20, but I didn't want to do them all at once, not really knowing what our technology budget's going to look like later on, especially because we know that our servers are reaching end of life, and it'd be more important to replace those, knowing that we had some new patron desktops in there. So that's-
Okay, number 13, it's going to take a while to read this. All right, motion to approve submission of application for summer learning and after-school opportunities. Summer Expand grant through Ohio Department of Education. The grant would provide up to $200,000 each year for 3 years, 2022 to 2024, to expand an existing summer learning program focusing on youth most in need of learning activities and support services due to negative impacts caused by the pandemic. The BCPL will serve as lead agency for the Brown County cohort, which includes school districts, libraries, BC Soil and Water, OSU Extension, and other organizations serving K-12 youth and their families.
You're good with that, Heather?
Yes,
Well, yeah,
That's a big job.
it's a
That
big
is-
project, it is.
That is,
Yeah.
you know, I think one thing we really need to think about, and I know the Department of Developmental Disabilities has some money, and they're looking into this too. And it's made me even think more because it's been on TV here lately, what social media does to kids' minds.
yeah, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Yep.
So maybe this will be a distraction away from
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, don't
That would
focus on
really
it.
help them, because I know even my grandkids are strong, but some of the things that other kids put on social media to hurt their feelings
Yeah.
is horrible.
Kids are cruel anyway, and then you put it on, then you
I
open it
don't
up
think
to.
they even realize they're cruel because
No,
their
they,
parents don't
but they are.
pay attention to them.
Yeah.
And
We didn't
you
have
know,
social
the
media and they were cruel when I was in
developmental
school. If
disabilities.
there's something different about somebody, somebody's gonna say something.
Well,
So they
yes.
make them
They
cry.
wanted to build a building,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Have you
To-
really heard about that?
Right.
Right,
A
that's why it's
building next to the
worse.
vocational school
I'll
to
move.
help
I'll second.
Okay.
Yes.
that. And so many people, well, why don't they put it in Mount Orb? That's closer to Fayetteville. you're defeating the whole purpose of it.
Right.
Because Georgetown is the center of the county.
Mhm.
And they said, what? And I said, well, we have Ripley. And they looked at me like I had two heads. Like,
We have everyone
shut
else.
up. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, number 14. Oh, I'm
We have
sorry.
to do-
I got ahead of myself.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Okay, number 14, succession planning. So I asked this to be added to the agenda this evening. And the reason being, at my company, Great American, we're actually going through raises and promotions, and we're always involved in succession planning for my employees, et cetera, et cetera. So, that kind of got me thinking as we're getting ready for this meeting. Lynn has told us multiple times that she's not going to be here forever, that retirement's around the corner. And so I started thinking, how far ahead do we have to plan for Lynn's replacement? So, at our company, we're projecting out 5 years. We'll project out 10 years, and we set up a path, and there's things that have to take place between now and then. So, Lynn, current day, do you have an actual retirement date, or what is that called? Your first available retirement date?
The first day, not that I have this memorized. right now,
Sure.
but
I'm like,
The first day that I can
my head.
retire, and this is according to me going, because they won't, at PERS, they really won't talk to you until you're 5 years, right? And I'm a little beyond 5 years, so I can go to the website and with my information that's already there, I do the estimator, and it says May 1st of 2028 is the first day that I can retire with full benefits without deduction. So that would be my very earliest, as I think about it, I kind of go, May 8th or May 12th of 2028 would be exactly 31 years. So depending upon, what they say is you should do the last day of the month or the first day of the next month, I would say end of May, very beginning of June of 2028
Okay.
would be what I would actually say.
Bye-bye.
I can't talk to y'all for 2 months because they want, they don't want you to have it. So that's what I'm looking at. That's 6 years. That's
Okay, so if we've got 6 years, so, what I was thinking is, obviously that position is critical, arguably the most important position. We need to be prepared. So, our choices are going to be, do we just put this off and shoot from the hip, which we could do, or should we start thinking about, a succession plan now? Because in my opinion, the best success is going to be with a very smooth flow and transition, because of the critical nature of the position. So I would rather be prepared and, work through, the next couple of years or whatever, and be ready. So when that day arrives, it's smooth and seamless. So, Lynn, if you think about it, would there be things that your successor or, inside outs or whatever would need to do? Is there certain things, objectives or training or schooling that would be needed before someone moved in that position?
Yeah, actually, when you asked me to put that on the agenda, I kind of thought, I wonder what I'm going to be asked to, kind of, so my mind first went to what does somebody need to know to be able to make it so that the organization stays stable through the, that kind of transition, because we haven't gone through that, right, in a while.
Well, when you came, I think I'm the only one that was here then.
Yeah, Harold, I think.
Harold,
was-
yeah.
Well, Harold, but
Yeah.
Harold's not here
Right. Not
Yeah,
tonight,
oh, yeah,
right.
tonight, yes.
tonight.
Mhm.
Did you feel like you were thrown into, yeah, I was convinced the first night I met her because her last name was
Book.
Book.
I was in.
But don't-
We don't even need to-
I didn't know that.
Mark?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know that either.
I did not know.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
BOOKLY.
Book, L-Y for Lynn.
That's why your email.
That's my email.
Okay, yeah, I mean, now that I think
Okay.
about it. No, I never put one.
So I thought, well, here she is.
Yeah.
Her middle initial is A.
But don't you have other people that could step?
Well, you know.
I mean,
so-
all you would have to do would be to set up a little training and whoever wants to do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it's.
Slap my knee.
Yeah, I said that
It's
outside my
hilarious.
mouth.
2
So-
weeks wouldn't be enough to train
I
somebody.
didn't say to.
Oh, okay.
I think you're
She
gonna
did.
stick around for a
Lynn didn't
while.
have
Sorry, I
any,
have a-
Huh?
she didn't have
Forty
anything.
pants.
So anyway.
That's what I
I
heard
didn't
was
even hear
her.
2 weeks.
When she came
Getting
in.
back to my, my first thought being, oh, what would somebody need to know, and, I came up with a list of 10 major categories of things that these are significant things that a director has to be able to do and know about, to come in and be, because there are multiple cycles at the end, and I'm not gonna talk about this because there's way too many of them. I just kind of started throwing things on paper, but then I also thought, well, it's not just about that person being ready, because you all have a timeline as well. You have to be making decisions about, when am I going to walk out the door, right? But our policy says I have to use all my vacation before I walk out the door. So I might not actually be here for a month before I officially leave, and whatever else. So there are a lot of other things that kind of impact when that all starts, not the least of which is if you're looking at an internal candidate and training someone up to bring them along, then, you can plan training for a longer period of time and deal with those things. If you as a board want to say, we want to, do an external search, that adds even more time to what you all are having to do, because you have to make a decision and decide, money, do we have someone come in 4 months before stuff, so there are all kinds of pieces to this whole process and lots of stuff to think about.
Well, I
And-
always
and I
feel
would
like
say- Well, and I-
somebody's got in their mind, any job that you really want to go after, you know what you want to make of that job, right?
And I would also say this, that, I think this is a really important discussion, because I have been bringing it up for a while, because
I know that, yes.
you really need to be thinking about what you want to do, and I know you have been. But when it gets to the point of actually discussing individuals, we need to do that in an executive session.
Oh,
and not do
sure.
it in an open
Correct.
session like
Yes,
this.
on video.
Yeah.
So, part of my objective this evening is to get it out there, get people thinking about it. I'm a planner, always have been. And, we may be faced with an opportunity, because to quote Lynn, I got to remind you guys, I'm not going to be here forever. I got to remind you guys, I've only got, 7 years left. You got to start thinking about this. So it's game on, and I think we need to start talking about it.
Right.
We have some time,
Yeah.
so we don't have to rush into it. So I came up with an idea that I wanted to bounce off you guys. Do you want to go first? Or
I'll
you
tell you
want-
the truth.
Okay, so what if I asked Lynn to put together, before the next meeting, in the next 30 days, kind of like a timetable, kind of sort of like training session for her replacement. And it would be for an internal candidate. This is, if it was an internal candidate, this is what I would envision and the timeframe. And then a separate one that would be for external candidates. So if we brought in someone from the outside, here would be the training that I think is needed to get that person to where it would be a seamless transition. What do you think about that?
Like it. I
I
was
think
thinking
that's
maybe
good, yeah.
there should be a committee working on that. Just, not just Lynn, not because you don't know as much as we do, but because that way you could brainstorm, we could brainstorm, be easier to not have you be the only person saying, I think this is what we need to do.
Yeah, right.
Interesting concept.
Yes.
I think Lynn would be our number one resource.
Absolutely.
I mean, let me think of all the other executive directors I know. None. So I would really lean on her.
That's what I mean.
Okay, so,
Lynn and a couple people.
and I would volunteer for that committee if we decide to have a committee.
I would too.
Okay, and maybe, so yeah, I'm game. So maybe, do you guys like the idea of her, next month coming together with, here's for external, here's for internal? Then from there, we kind of have another discussion and then make a decision on a committee, which I've already volunteered for.
Okay,
What do you think?
yeah.
I think that
I think
sounds like an
that's good.
excellent
And it doesn't
plan.
have
Yeah.
to move fast. I mean, I think that's the good thing is that.
Yeah.
We
Well, yes.
Whoever's on the committee with us, if we, and we want to hear what you think. We need to get we need to have good ideas about what to look for, all of that kind of stuff.
Now,
Yeah.
I will tell
What
you,
hands do, like, who would you need to introduce this person to over time? Would you bring them to a chamber meeting? Would you take them to a this? Just all kinds of ways to get them connected as you're unconnecting.
now, Tracy, I think what we're going to see here is, next meeting, when we get this, timeline or training concept from Lynn, that'll tell us how much time we have. If she wants to do, hypothetically 5 years, if she wants to do 3 years, or if it's 2 years, that's going to dictate how much time
Yep.
we have. But I'm just grateful that we had an opportunity to talk about it.
Right, right.
So I'm a little concerned about how much detail goes in this, because like I said, I just off the top of my head came up with 10 different categories of things that would require training. And some of those whole,
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, those are all.
So maybe just share the
listings
categories for now.
of things. Well, and that I'm also thinking, okay, so I'm actually taking a little bit of a vacation next week. So I have, and this is a short month, so I have 3-4 days in the office between now and when I leave, and then and then I really jump back in, and it's board packet week,
I can help you. High level,
high level.
keep it high
Okay.
level. We don't want any details.
Okay,
Just so what I would envision would be, okay, again, hypothetically, let's say you go 3 years out. Year 1, A, B, C, D, E. Year 2, A, B, C, D, E. I wouldn't worry about the details at this
No.
point. I think what's nice is just, the categories.
Yep.
And I know you're good, but I would assume having it high level, it wouldn't take.
no, I've got a pretty good list, I think, right now, but putting the time frame on them and kind of breaking that down between an internal and external, because one of the things I'm not clear about is, if you're bringing in someone from the outside, how long would you, as a board, be willing to have to?
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about.
Don't worry about
that.
that at all.
Right now.
Right. Don't worry about that at all. That's what the potential committee would be for.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to decide, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Well,
So this
my
is
thing
wish
is
list,
if you
high
have
level.
Someone already on the
Easy
inside,
peasy.
that would be rather wrong.
You never know.
Well, we have to save that for executive committee.
Right,
Yeah.
that's, yeah. And
We don't talk about that now.
No, I know. Don't tell me you're not thinking about it.
all fairness and equity has to be happening at this point in the process.
Yes,
And all
yes.
things considered.
Yes.
And where you drive conclusions, then you'll have data to drive this conclusion.
What?
So are we good to move on? Is everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now I need a motion to enter executive session.
I'll move.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mark,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
So Tanya and Amber, is there anything else you'd like to add, say before we go into executive session?
Just to make a plea for the tree.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put us on the map.
Yeah.
It would
I think
put
it'd
us
be
on the
great.
map.
Well, Amber had put a chat in the box that she's seen lots of reading trees in lots of libraries, and it is one of those. But Mark is right. He has to be the one to say,
Oh, yeah.
listen, guys.
Consider.
there's
He's
a-
gonna tell us all the bad.
It can't be,
things. I
it
know.
can't always be
I know, but
lollipops and
it's
rainbows,
okay.
Yes, I know.
right?
I'm a Pollyanna.
And unicorns, right, right.
If it was up to me, it would be lollipops and
In
rainbows.
all seriousness, I just wanted to say thank you for all the things that you have approved and let me, be a part of the decision-making process and deciding what's going on
Thank you.
and the replacement